think I don't know if there's a solution necessarily because, like you
Right.
said,
It's tough.
so in
What do you
2016,
think about Yang? Does Yang make sense? You know more about finance than anyone that I come into contact with in my daily life. Does Yang make any sense, or is he every now and then he says something I like, but then I see him on a skateboard and I go, you know,
well, that's just it. Like, yes, I like Yang, and I thought this is gonna be the guy. Like he felt smart. He it felt like he also asks, "Why is this happening?" He felt like he was sort of one of us a little bit, and then I even was like, I was texting him, and he would text back, and so I thought, okay, and I have his books here somewhere, and he was making sense in that way. And then there were two things that bothered me where I started to feel like damn, he's got a weird narrative now also. One, because I like the UBI, the idea of
is it as bad as he says what's coming? Because I
no,
don't know.
it's
Okay.
not as bad as he says, and
Okay.
that was the first problem, but the solution I like. I like the idea that use a progressive, not regressive, but a progressive sales tax essentially to pay for $1,000 a month for everybody. People can opt out of different social programs to get the UBI and so on. He had the math to, and the UBI makes sense. What I don't like is his the fear mongering. So he says
Right.
automation is going to take all the truckers' jobs. The truckers are going to rebel in the streets, and then automation is going to take everyone else's jobs. And this time things are different. And it's like a little bit of fear mongering. Like everyone's scared now. Like, oh my gosh, automation is going to take everyone's jobs. And but you look at it like truck drivers right now, there's job postings. They need 30% more truck drivers than there already are. There's so like people are just buying so much stuff from Amazon. We need more. The country needs more
Yeah.
truck drivers. So you can have 30% of that taken by automation. It won't affect employment at all. And then you do look at then you can't have automation driving. You can drive on the highway, but you can't have them drive in the city streets. There's too many things that they can't recognize, so they'll get accidents. So then you'll if you automate all the trucks on the highways, there's going to be many more trucks. Then you're going to need many more trucks in the city delivering to the last mile. So the truck drivers have a buffer. There will be a job they can move to. And this, you can say this for every industry, like ATM machines. Everybody thought that was the end of bank tellers. But it turned out the banks started making so much profit, they put a Chase branch on every corner and there's more tellers hired than ever. So I think Yang should know better. So I don't know. So I ask why. Why is he saying this when he comes out of this world? He should know better. Everyone in technology knows better. And I think he's just doing that to scare people for his UBI as justification for which I agree with. I agree. He should have just started with the UBI and forgotten the fear mongering. And then the other thing that disturbed me was he always says after every debate, they didn't let me speak. They didn't let me speak. They didn't let me speak.
Right.
In their last debate, trending, let Yang speak. But you know what? Fucking raise your hand, like, or interrupt like
Right.
everyone else does. Like you could
Yeah.
speak. There was one question they asked Bernie Sanders. Well, how are you going to pay for forgiving all student loan debt? And I knew Yang has a great answer for this. He said it on Joe Rogan. Actually, the answer for that. He could have just raised his hand or interrupted like every single other candidate does. You want a candidate who can stand up to like North Korea and China and Russia, and he can't raise his hand. He's like intimidated by Bernie Sanders, which is the weirdest
Right.
thing in the world. So those two things disturb me, and so
Interesting.
I find because
Yeah.
I was kind of like
Because
lean.
I don't know, so from the outside, I go, it does seem that automation and artificial intelligence going forward will be a problem eventually, to a
It
degree.
it could be, but it's also
Yeah.
going to create like yeah, it'd be good if radiologists are replaced by AI who could see cancer on your X-rays. Then more people will live longer, and there'll be more opportunities to create drugs. And it's not like opportunities are going to go away as the world gets better. So
Do we need a higher skilled worker though? Is that a problem? Because when you go around America and you meet people, you go, I'm trying to imagine the job they'll do. And I draw blank sometimes.
yeah,
When I talk to somebody, I go, I wonder what job they would do. And then you go, this is a person who does need a low skilled job because there's a lot of people that are just not educated. What do you do with those people? Because there's a lot of them.
there is a lot of them, and I mean, I don't know all the answers, but it's not going to be worse than it is now.
Okay,
Italy,
interesting. Well,
it,
this is very positive.
yeah, because it's you're still going to be solving major problems with automation, and then when major problems are solved, new industries start. That's happened every single time in the past 300 years of capitalism. So I'm not saying, oh, just be pro-capitalist and it'll all work out, because, like you said, the role of government is to take care of people who can't take care of themselves or who are weaker in some way, and there's always going to be some role for that, but it's not, it's like robots aren't going to suddenly wake up and take everyone's jobs. So then I ask, why did Elon Musk, who, by the way, creates more automation than anyone else, why does he support Yang? So he must, there's some narrative. It's you asking why, like there's
Interesting.
some
Yeah.
narrative here that we don't quite understand. And I don't understand it. Like, what's Yang's role in this? I don't really understand. But things are certainly not going to be worse with automation. They never have been. They've always created industries that we can't even imagine now. And just the basic things that Andrew worries about are not worries, because he doesn't address the fact that we actually need more truck drivers in the country. And if automation takes away the highway truck drivers, we're going to need more city truck drivers. So the
Right.
jobs are just going to move over. So his basic argument doesn't work. Although, like I said, I love the solution. I think UBI is a better solution than forgiving student loan debt, which, as Andrew Yang says, only benefits the top 1/3 of society. And the other 2/3, you're using the money from the other 2/3. So I don't know. I just got disappointed in Andrew not raising his hand to that question. Like, what? Why is he
Yeah.
then spread the narrative? Oh, they don't let me speak, when he could. And the rules are he could just raise his hand. He could just interrupt.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think that he's tapping into a real fear.
Yeah.
And I think he's tapping into the idea that a lot of people that are in low skilled, low paying jobs right now are struggling, and they're terrified if those jobs go away, which is
Right.
understandable.
Right. Well, that's the narrative Trump had, except instead of
Yeah. It
instead
was
of
immigrants
automation,
coming
yeah,
instead of robots.
yeah,
I think it's both. I think that like the idea is that like if you I totally get people being afraid of both things, in the sense that more low skilled workers will depress wages. That's why the Koch brothers loved open borders. They loved the idea of it because it was just supplied a
right.
lot of their, industries with low wage labor. And I understand people going, well, what the hell's going to happen if this job is done by a robot? So like, I think that fear is rational, even though it can be demagogued by people like Trump, and it can become very ugly, and it can become this kind of strain of nationalism that you don't want. But I think fear in and of itself is somewhat rational. And the idea that you should like be concerned with what you're going to be doing in